The little engines on the hills of Height were working hard. Skarloey and Renee's are really good friends. They are both proud to be narrow gauge engines. Sir Handel and Peter Sam are also good friends. And they're also both proud to be on Sodor. Rusty and Duncan are also good friends. They love to talk about how they became friends. One morning, Thomas puffed into the transfer yard. All the narrow gauge engines were there. Thomas was surprised to see them there. "What are y'all doing here at the same time?" asked Thomas. "Because Sir Topham Hatt has something special for us," said Skarloey. Then Sir Topham Hatt arrived. "Just to let you guys know that our new engine is coming. He's coming from the mainland and he'll be here shortly." Thomas was excited. He loved making friends. Then, with a click and a clack, the new engine puffed in. "This is Ivo Hugh," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Welcome to Sodor, Ivo Hugh." The engines were surprised. "He looks nice," said Skarloey. "He looks strong," said Sir Handel. "He looks fast," said Reneus. "He looks like he'll be really useful," said Peter Sam. "He looks stronger than me," said Duncan. "And me," finished Rusty. "Hello, I'm Thomas," said Thomas happily. Ivo Hugh got so frightened that he puffed away. Thomas was surprised. "What is he scared about?" he asked. "I don't know," said Skarloey, "but I'll go find him." And Skarloey went to go find Ivo Hugh. "Well, Thomas, since you're supposed to work with Ivo Hugh, please get to work. Please go to the docks to get some cargo." "Yes, sir," said Thomas, and he puffed away. Thomas was rushing all along the countryside. He could only think about Ivo Hugh. Then, Thomas stopped at a junction. Duck and Percy were there. "Hello, Thomas. You look worried," said Percy. "What's the matter?" asked Duck. "You look very worried." "Oh, yeah, I'm just thinking about a new engine." "That's nice," said Percy. "Now we gotta go. You could talk to us later." And then they both puffed away. Thomas kept thinking about Ivo Hugh. Then Edward puffed in. He was carrying Jack because Jack broke down. "Hello, Thomas," said Edward. "You look worried." "Is everything okay?" asked Jack. Yeah, everything's fine," said Thomas. "Anyways, my signal's green. I gotta go now. See ya." Meanwhile, Skarloey was looking for Ivo Hugh. "Ivo Hugh, where are you?" said Skarloey. Ivo Hugh heard Skarloey and then he hid in a tunnel. Skarloey knew right away where Ivo Hugh was, and he went to go find him. Skarloey puffed up to the tunnel. "Ivo Hugh, are you in there? Come out, please. I promise you Thomas is friendly." But Ivo Hugh didn't come out. He didn't say anything at all. Thomas arrived at the docks and he backed up into the freight cars. Then he puffed happily away. Then Thomas stopped right in the middle of the tracks to think about Ivo Hugh. Ivo Hugh was being chased along the hills of Height by Skarloey. Then there was trouble. Duncan was coming by on the same tracks as Ivo Hugh. Skarloey was getting annoyed. "Come on back here, Ivo Hugh. You got work to do. Sir Topham Hatt will be cross." But Ivo Hugh didn't listen and he just biffed straight into Duncan. Duncan was cross. "Watch where you're going," said Duncan crossly. "Ha, you're trapped now," said Skarloey crossly. "Oh dear," said Ivo Hugh and he backed up. Then James was coming by behind Thomas. "Out of my way," snorted James. "Not if you ask like that, bossy boiler," said Thomas crossly. "But I got a very important delivery to take," said James crossly. "Ah, fine," said Thomas crossly. Then he rolled away. Then Thomas puffed into the transfer yard. But when he puffed into the transfer yard, Ivo Hugh was not there. "I wonder where he could be," he thought to himself. But then Ivo Hugh was still being chased by Skarloey, and then Reneus came up with Sir Topham Hatt. "Oh no, I'm in trouble," said Ivo Hugh. Sir Topham Hatt was on board Reneus. He was not cross. He felt sorry for Ivo Hugh. "What's going on, Ivo Hugh? I know you're scared. I know it's because you're new to Sodor. I'm not cross with you, don't worry. But please, Thomas is waiting at the transfer yard. Can you please get there?" "I promise you he's a very friendly engine," said Sir Topham Hatt. "Yes, sir, I will get there," said Ivo Hugh. Come on, said Skarloey. Thomas is a lot of fun. And then the two engines puffed to the transfer yard. First, they collected the freight cars, and then they had to go to meet up with Thomas. At last, Ivo-Hue and Skarloey arrived at the transfer yard. "Oh, hello, Ivo-Hue," said Thomas. "Hello, Thomas," said Ivo-Hue. "I'm sorry I hid from you. I was scared." "I'll tell you why later," said Ivo-Hue. And then the train was loaded, and then the two engines went to the dairy factory to drop off the dairy. At last, the two engines arrived at the dairy factory to drop off the dairy where they were supposed to. Then Ivo-Hue and Skarloey puffed back to the wharf. "Well, Thomas, the reason why I was scared of you because you're a big engine and I'm scared of big engines. And here's the reason why. So back at the mainland, I was huffing and puffing on the narrow gauge tracks. I was feeling very proud of myself. Then those three wild logging loco engines came up to me. They were so wild that they started bullying me and making fun of me. Look, everyone, it's this little engine who's so small he can't even carry loads.
He doesn't belong here. He's too weak. If he owned our lines, we would show him."
That's right. I was very sad.
"Oh, what's the matter? You too scared? Are you gonna sit there and be scared?"
Or are you gonna do something? So then I was so sad. They kept me hidden from the big engines until they sent them to Misty Island. And that's how I got to Sodor.
Cinders and Ashes, said Thomas. I know them. Their names are Bash, Dash, and Ferdinand.
How do you know them?
Asked Ivo-Hue. Let me tell you, said Thomas. I was in the Misty Island tunnel because I got lost in Misty Island, so I was trying to head back to Sodor, but the tunnel was blocked. And while we were waiting for help, I remember how Dash said,
"We were too wild on the mainland."
And Bash said,
"So, they sent us to Misty Island."
And then Dash said,
"We weren't really useful."
And Bash said,
"But we were really funny."
And me and Ferdinand said,
That's right.
Wow, that is crazy, said Ivo-Hue. Yes, said Thomas, but don't worry, Ivo-Hue. Sir Topham Hatt took good care of them. That's good, said Ivo-Hue. And I want to thank my new friend Skarloey and you, Thomas. You're welcome, said Skarloey. No problem, said Thomas. I'm always here for you. And Ivo-Hue was happy to have two new friends.